The name, image, and likeness laws that passed in state houses in certain states across the country are now 2 years old, and many other states have followed suit. I believe Florida was first, California and Florida. And it's now been 2 years. And at the time, we were all over that. We talked about it, Jim, on July 1st, 2021, I believe, is when that happened. And we're like, okay, is anybody ready for this? Because this sounds like it's going to change everything. And I believe it was right around this time last year that Nick Saban, speaking to local business folk in Tuscaloosa, basically accused Texas A&M of buying their recruiting class. Or maybe it was last year. I don't know if it was this time or beforehand. But it made things a little dicey at SEC media days and things of that nature.
Yeah.
That storm has passed. Now it's just like, what is happening in the world of NIL? And how does it affect whether a kid is coming to school or staying in school or hitting a transfer portal? And what does it mean for a kid that's thinking of going to school? High school kids, people showing up at high school games when they're 15 and saying, hey, I represent this firm and I think your kid can be terrific and I think they can get into a certain school and I can help. And I'm offering this much money for you to do it. And NILs are used as inducements, which they're not supposed to be. They're supposed to be paid to kids who are already on campus, and they use their name, image, and likeness based on their performance on that campus to be paid by Buddy Garrity Chevrolet or whatever locally.
Friends of the program.
And instead, there are now, as you know, collections and collectives and things of that nature of different varying degrees of, one might think, legality. Well, one guy is saying this is out of hand, and he is the commissioner of the SEC, Greg Sankey, and he had a state of the state address, state of the SEC union. But as you know, the SEC, there's a bus, there's a college athletics bus, and football drives much of that bus. Mm-hmm. And if that is something you agree to, the SEC drives this bus. So Greg Sankey had this to say about the state of name, image, and likeness and what is happening on that front 2 years after its birth.
In many ways, it's been a net positive for young people. But we all know there are stories. Some stories told and others not told, of promises made but not fulfilled, of inducements offered but not provided, of empty commitments, of NIL agreements that created more questions than provided answers, and other behaviors in this space that rightly cause concern. And the reality is our student athletes deserve something better than a patchwork of state laws that support their name, image, and likeness activity, if support is the right word. Our student athletes deserve something better than a race to the bottom at the state legislature level, as the efforts are made to create what are perceived as a competitive edge through state laws that are not overseen.
So, as Sankey said a couple minutes later, that in his prepared remarks, so this is something you know he wanted to address. He had prepared remarks. He said they don't know at the SEC of a single state law on name, image, and likeness in the United States. A single one being enforced. None. Where somebody has run afoul of the state law and they are the ones holding them to account. So if the states creating the laws are not policing it and enforcing it, then who's going to do it? And the NCAA is the Lieutenant Weinberg in this thing. You, NCAA?
Yeah, exactly.
You, Lieutenant Weinberg, sitting in Indianapolis with the former governor of Massachusetts now being the face-forward guy of this thing? Charlie Baker? You? Well, Sankey identified who can help. And it's the United States Congress.
The reality is only Congress can fully address the challenges facing college athletics. The NCAA cannot fix all of these issues. The courts cannot resolve all of these issues. The states cannot resolve all of these issues, nor can the conferences. Whether congressional action is achievable is a matter of debate, much debate. But educational opportunity, supporting equitable opportunities for men and for women, ensuring the United States' continued success in the Olympic Games, providing medical care, nutritional support, academic support, mental wellness counseling. These are nonpartisan issues.
He's not wrong. You want to talk about much debate, United States Congress. We're in trouble if that's the organization and entity that he thinks is the only answer. So all you got to do is watch that U.S. Senate subcommittee conversation on Live Tour and PGA Tour. Because to me, that, as you know, is a very serious subject going on. Foreign investment, Saudi investment in a United States golf entity that has a massive history rooted in our zeitgeist as a country and a sports-loving country, the PGA Tour. Yeah, that needs to be discussed by the United States Senate. And instead, you saw some senators up there talking about Hunter Biden's laptop. Unserious. And the guy in the U.S. Senate who you think would know quite a bit about this subject matter and would be there to help. Used to coach in the SEC, and because of him, the U.S. Marine Corps does not have a commandant, Senate confirmed, for the first time since 1859. That guy is going to help? That guy is going to suddenly come out, put aside his unique perspective on white nationalism for 2 seconds to hit this subject matter? Here's the answer, and I know Greg Sankey may not want to hear it. I think he's the answer. That guy sounds like he's running the he's running college athletics. He knows. He knows. That's a leader right there. It strikes me. He's been on this show multiple times. I don't know if he wants. Didn't I even ask him if he wants that job? And he doesn't want it.
I mean, we ask Jay Billis every time.
He's got enough, but because I think where this is going, like, because if we're hoping Congress does this, and I know I just pointed out one side of the aisle as pointing as that is the problem. Mm-hmm. I don't think the United States Congress has the ability and wherewithal to sit down and handle this complex problem. They just don't. And I think the people that need to handle it, because he said as well in his speech, I invite everybody to seek it out. It's on YouTube. That they have talked to student athletes on this front multiple times. And he said none of them want to become employees of the school. And that acting now is important because you're protecting 15-year-old kids and the current kids in these schools that are probably told to song and dance by so many people that don't have the ability. He said at one point in his speech that there are people who can print up on cardstock that they're an agent and show up to your high school and say, I got your kid. Like, something has to be done. And to me, I said it a couple of summers ago when this happened over in Europe, the super leaguing of college programs. Find a whole bunch of people who are in a similar boat athletically. I know it's not fair to smaller schools and mid-sized schools and things of that nature. But at some point, you have to get these schools, member schools together with student bodies to help and find out which 64, to use a number, 32, 64, 96 member schools want to be part of a separate entity from the NCAA where they make up their own NIL rules and everybody plays by those, and start from there and maybe build from the inside out, not Congress nationally in, because I don't think that cavalry's coming. And you create your own rules and you have your own playoff system and you include Title IX and you include all the other programs and build from that football-based organization, use the college football playoff system to start, and have Sankey run it. I don't think he wants any piece of that. I don't know him. But that's the way to go. Instead, you're just sitting there and just saying, we've gone to Capitol Hill, we've lobbied here, we lobbied there. Really? They're going to really? They couldn't even talk, in a subcommittee without trying to make talking points for cable news outlets to talk seriously about what's going on Live Tour and PGA Tour. And we're going to have this conversation. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.